Hello, this is Sari Dobron with Earth Church Productions. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce Jack and Deborah Bartello, two of my favorite people on the entire planet. Had the honor of meeting you both about 2 years ago, I think, in Mount Shasta, California. And every conversation and every moment that we spent together was just absolutely transformative. Mostly, I would say, in the sense that we discovered very early on that we resonated really the same in nature and had the same values there. And, you've shared with me over the years concepts from your teaching and from the book that you were writing. And it wasn't until recently when you completed your book that I got to read it, and it all really came together and was just absolutely life-changing for me. So Jack and Deborah Bartello have just released their book, The Golden Remembrance, Reawakening One Golden Heart Consciousness. And it's the most beautiful book. I have it right next to me with a million little pink tags of highlights. And because it's not something you can just read once. It's absolutely an important book to carry throughout life. So Jack and Deborah, share with us, please, what is One Golden Heart Consciousness and who are the Golden Family?
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to say, Sari, that we love you to pieces. And this is just an honor to be able to talk about this with you, knowing that you've read the book and you can speak a little bit about what your journey reading the book was also at some point during this interview.
Absolutely.
So, One Golden Heart Consciousness is about the civilization of Lemuria long, long ago, when many of us came to this planet, this beautiful planet, as masters in certain skill sets that we each had, and we were invited, as well as we made a choice to come to this planet and gather together and create this beautiful civilization, which we called Lemuria. And the point and purpose of Lemuria, as we have understood it, was certainly it was a civilization based on the consciousness of pure love. And also we were given the gift of what we call the gold. We were graced to be given the gift of golden awareness and golden consciousness and golden ability to add into the mix of who we were, so that we could create these amazing creations out of that. It was like we were gifted by the source, by God, whatever you wish to call that. And so we very consciously and deliberately delved into ourselves and brought forth our skill sets, coupled with the resonance of this golden love and this golden power, which magnified everything that we were and magnified our creations. And it was a time for us of gathering our whole family, which was not just humans, wasn't just people. It was also the golden animal kingdom and the golden earth, the golden soil, the golden water, the golden trees, and it also, and all of that, everything that was living right then was also inclusive of all these different forms of golden light. Also included the cosmos, the stars, the angelic realm. So it was this huge, very broad coming together of very skilled, very love-devoted, a celebration of all of us coming together as one golden family. That's what we call the one golden family, is all these different levels, the seen and the unseen, vibratory life form. And so I think that kind of sums that up. The other thing about that was that, Lemuria, I know there's been a lot written about Lemuria, and people have different experiences about what Lemuria is for them. And I just want to address the fact that for Jack and I, everything that we have written about Lemuria and everything that we know about Lemuria has come from within us. None of it has come from a source outside. It's all comes through our own direct experience, and the information that we've been given is information that we've been given on purpose. In terms of this is the information that we have to bring to the table, and it's not to say that anybody else has. If they even have different information, doesn't mean that anybody is inaccurate. It just means to us that this is part of our path and purpose, and so it was brought to us in the way that it has been, and that's what we talk about, and that's what we write about, and that's what we live and breathe and be. And it grows more and more every day as our remembrance ourselves deepens.
And all of us who came and created Lemuria, we were invited. And we were invited because we were already Golden Masters. And it was a very co-creative endeavor.
Yeah.
And it was all heart-centered and heartfelt, and it was all about love and creation and living our passion and living our creativity, constantly creating, co-creating with nature, with the heavens, with our the earth. Yeah, big time with the earth and with our interdimensional family. So it was a joyous, loving time on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And some folks think that a time like this never existed on Earth. But we say it did exist, and the imprint is still here. And the one golden heart consciousness is still here. And so when we say the purpose of the book is reawakening one golden heart consciousness, that's exactly what it is. It's about having this golden remembrance and reawakening this one golden heart consciousness. And the one golden heart consciousness is all about our connectedness to each other and to all forms of golden life. So, and we talk about it extensively in the book.
So beautiful, so beautiful. Thank you for explaining it that way. I've always felt very connected to everything as well. That's what you recognized in me and witnessed and reflected as well. Yeah. And after reading the book and understanding the golden heart consciousness and the golden family, that this consciousness is always there and always available, it was a coming home for me. Much like meeting you both, because I understood what I was feeling and what it had to offer me. And it was just a very beautiful, deepening experience. And my vibration is changed just hearing you talk about it. So just want to say, I think acknowledging that something exists or existed is the first step. Yeah. And then allowing it to really be evident in our lives and love. Yeah. The golden heart, living in our hearts is really a big key to that.
It's a huge key.
And that's why we refer to it as one golden heart.
One golden heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about heart. It's all about love.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Well, I've had the honor of hearing you both recount some of the work that you did beginning in the mid-'80s and how you discovered Mount Shasta in Northern California and joined with the Golden Masters to conduct your Ascended Master intensives. Can you talk a little bit about that experience and how it led up to writing the book?
Yeah, sure. Well, I remember we were in Sacramento doing a lot of work with folks, and we took a weekend or whatever it was, a few days to go up to Mount Shasta. We heard about Mount Shasta, had never been there. And before we even arrived, we were on the interstate the first time. As soon as we saw the mountain, we just both started crying. I mean, just talking about it, I get emotional. We felt like we came home, but that was our home, and we were welcomed by the masters and by so many beings of love, and it was extraordinary. So we ended up moving to Mount Shasta, and we first went into retreat on the mountain. We had a friend who had a cabin up there on Mount Shasta, 4,500 feet. We rented it from her, and we had extraordinary experiences with the masters, specifically Master Jesus, Mother Mary, and Master Saint Germain, as well as others, and they basically put us through a number of intensives with ourselves and them, and then they said, okay, now you need to take this out and do this with other people, with your clients and so forth. And we had been doing workshops for a number of years before that. We've mostly been doing workshops on energy, teaching people about energy, anyway from a one-day workshop to a 5-day workshop. So then so that's where we started conducting our Ascended Master intensives. We were at a retreat center in Mount Shasta, and we were doing that. And we did that we did the Ascended Master work up until about 2001, and then we were in Hawaii taking a break, and the Master said to us, well, your mission is over, and we were stumped. We were just like, what? What does this mean? And we were young. We were relatively young, man. Well, we were in our maybe 50 years old, late 40s or something. And like, what do you mean our mission's over? We've got plenty more to do. And then shortly thereafter, the Lemurian experience showed itself to us. We had known about Lemuria, of course, living in Mount Shasta, and had some experiences, but our work was really about the Ascended Masters. And so once that mission was completed, we then fully moved into exploring our Lemurian experiences. And that went on for, it probably, before we even started writing, other than journaling, that probably went on for, I don't know, about 15 years or 12 to 14 years, something like that. I'm not sure. And then we started writing the book, and
And so the Ascended Masters, specifically Mother Mary, Master Jesus, and Master Saint Germain, are a part of our team, our golden team. And, so this is very much of a team effort, everything, and a co-creative effort, everything that we do. And so, and they are in and out of the book as well, as which and so that relationship, continues to be very strong and active and beautiful and extraordinary.
This book is your second time writing together, yeah?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I just love how you weave the male and female perspective together. I felt really invited and included in your co-creation of the book with one another and with who you described as the Golden Masters. And so Jesus, Saint Germain, Mother Mary. Can you tell more about what it's like to co-create with each other, and what was it like to co-create with the Golden Masters?
Well, it's a delight to co-create with each other. It's just, early on in our relationship, the Masters, our guides, were very clear with us. They said, always put your relationship first. It's not about the work first. It's about your relationship and your love first.
The love, our love.
Our love. And out of our love comes the creation of what we teach and what we do and all that we are.
Right? It's got to be a conscious journey, right? That's what it's all about.
Yeah, well, exactly. So our co-creation is, it's a dance, and there are times where, like this book here, the creation of this book, we were sharing stuff back and forth and writing the book from our experience and writing it like that, and we had the manuscript. We had probably about 2/3 of the manuscript done, somewhere between a half and 2/3, and we were in Southern Oregon at the time, and to be closer to our daughter and her family, and then we moved to Mount Shasta, and Deborah looked at me. I thought we'd soon be done with the book, and she looked at me and said, we've got to start the book over, and Avalar is going to tell the story, and I have to do it. And so then she basically wrote the book. I was involved each step of the way, every day, all the pages, the editing, and also just my input. And so, we would weave my input into it. But basically, she was the one who wrote this manuscript. And then at the end of it, she barely made it to the end. She was exhausted, and I mean exhausted. And she hands it over to me and says, "This is all I can do."
Yeah, you just gave birth in a sense, right?
Understandably so. This is not a small book, not a small undertaking. And so I said, "Fine, I'll oversee the editing." And so we ended up working with a few different editors, but we got it done. But the editing process took a couple of years. So it was a marathon, and we never worked so hard. But for co-creating with each other is fun for us. I mean, it's also work. This was a huge work, a huge effort. This book to create this material and to put it in book form and all. And to co-create with the Golden Masters is also a delight. I mean, we're a team, and we've worked together for years. From the first time, consciously, from the first time we met in Mount Shasta, and that was it was like 1990. So that's what 32 years ago. So yeah, it's a joy.
So I want to clarify for the audience that Avalar is a key player in the book, and so that's just so they know who that is.
Yeah, do you want to share a little bit more about who Avalar is?
Well, no, I think...
Okay, let them read it.
That's sort of the treat that if anybody who reads the book gets to
find
out about that.
Yeah.
This book was really about birthing. This was a birthing project. And I was very aware of that as I was, quote-unquote, delivering the manuscript. I was very aware that I was in a birthing process. And then when I was done, of course, I had absolutely no juice left. And that's why, Jack took over the editing and all of that part of writing a book, which is no small feat either.
And then the production of the book.
And the production and all of that stuff. And then, so it was really this just gorgeous collaboration and with the masters and a few other players in there, plus the voice of the earth herself. I've just, speaking for myself, I've never done a project that's enormous.
And we've done some big projects.
And we've done some very big projects.
Yeah, yes, you have. I mean, I've read your other book, and it's not nothing. And the work that you did in your Ascended Master Intensives is huge.
Oh, yeah. No, that was extraordinary work.
Yeah. So this sort of took everything, and brought us to, kind of scooped up all of our abilities and put them all together to deliver this beautiful book, which is purpose. It has a purpose of its own. It is. We live a purpose-driven life, and this was our gift. That both of us knew. Well, this this is the purpose of our life. Everything is sort of led up to doing this, and so let's give it all we've got,
Mm-hmm.
Our absolute best. And the wonderful thing about that is that in Lemuria we all worked really hard. We were extraordinarily gifted, all of us. We had, as we mentioned, we were masterful with our skill sets, and we brought them very deliberately to contribute to the whole. And we were used to working hard, and we didn't think of it that way. We were simply very high quality, high frequency beings, and it was our creativity at work. It was our joy, our passion, and we wouldn't think otherwise. And so I feel very much like the doing of this book was, in a sense, tapping back into that memory of that ability to really dig deep and really dig deep and call it up and step up and receive the enormity of this manuscript, which just in the doing of it, I can just say a brief note for myself personally, is that it grew me so much, the doing of it. And I'm still kind of amazed at what I'm realizing I now have the capability of doing and being that I didn't have before. And so it's very rich. It's a very rich experience. And I know that for people reading the book, and we'll talk about that more in a minute, but that it is also a real eye-opener for them of, oh my gosh, I didn't know I had all this in myself. I didn't know this was, this richness was in here. So.
Yeah, I want to just honor you as the vessel and as the team, but in terms of the birthing process and what you're describing, that is the life-changing gift that, for myself, reading this book gave me. I've never brought forth something of this magnitude, but my time in knowing you both, you've witnessed that I've been in a space of healing from some incredible exhaustion, complete endocrine failure, because I've been called to be a vessel for things to come through me. And so that this is through you and this book that I've really learned how to how to live and how to be in a way that I can receive, and that much light can move through me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally. It is that remembrance of the largest of our capacity to love and be loved and receive. And we really, as we remember it, it can feel almost like we're being stretched inside, when in fact, we are in a way, but we're just stretching back into our own remembrance, and it's really allowing that to be, and realizing, oh my gosh, I can allow more love from within and from outside. I can allow more than I ever thought possible before. And for some people, even that is an adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about craving love, wanting to feel love, wanting to love, and and then when it comes down to it, it's like, oh, well, wait a minute, this is a lot. So it's just a beautiful. That's the thing. It's about remembering something so beautiful.
Yeah, it's remembering that we went through a lot, and I love, this morning, just to ground in to this, I opened the book and I prayed, open it, randomly or to where I need to. Just give me the message, right? And I opened it to page 140, but it's where Master Saint Germain is describing, what's going to be expected of everyone and how to breathe and stand steady and keep or focus and center. It was a lot about staying centered. It's just an example of the wealth of information and wisdom and skill that's delivered by the Ascended Masters in this book about a way to be in order to to let this love and light come through.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much of that in the book, and there's also so much about creation. I mean, we talk about creation, and the book goes into creation, and it basically, there's a lot of good material about creation and about how to stand steady in the face of fear, and I know you'll probably ask us about the fear consciousness.
Yeah, no, I feel like this would be a perfect time to talk about that. In the book, you talk at length about fear consciousness, one golden heart consciousness, and that was a real key in understanding both of those, how we operated and can operate. Why is understanding both of them important?
Well, the fear consciousness, I mean, first off, we go into it a lot because we live in a time right now, and have been living, but it seems more intense as each day goes on, where fear is ever present. It's in the media, it's everywhere. You know, we all have our phones, we all have our computers, and everything, and the fear consciousness exists here, and it looks like it prevails. And in our book, we're saying, okay, look, this exists, and we have to address it. And we have to address how do we conduct ourselves in the face of fear consciousness, because frankly, as Lemurians, as Golden Ones, fear doesn't exist for us.
Yeah.
And so
it's not in our design.
It's not in our design. So we say, okay, well, there's one golden heart consciousness and there's fear consciousness. And I know I've heard some people say, well, that's all it's been here has been fear consciousness on this planet. We disagree. Mm-hmm. We want golden heart consciousness before fear consciousness came. And in the book, we take the reader through how fear consciousness came about on this planet. And what we say is there's two imprints, one golden heart consciousness and fear consciousness. And we, as Golden Ones, we don't belong in the fear consciousness imprint. We have to coexist because that's the way it is on the planet right now. But we can stay in our one golden heart consciousness. And the book is very instructive to the reader throughout.
So instructive, yeah. Learning how to just be with the fear consciousness.
And that's so invaluable these days because we are challenged. Mm-hmm. We are tremendously challenged. And as Golden Ones, we're also very sensitive. Mm-hmm. And so we feel the fear more than a lot of other folks do. Mm-hmm. So it's a dilemma, but we address it hugely in the book because it needs to be addressed. And how else are we going to be able to conduct ourselves fully as one golden heart consciousness beings and as golden masters in today's world if we don't understand what's going on around us?
Epic. Yeah, just understanding the anatomy of fear and how to be with it from a place of golden consciousness was, I mean, I was like brought to tears because I've been aware of and sensitive to, but unable to understand or be with. And so there's kind of, you know, from that space, there's an avoidance, there's like almost an allergic reaction. But for those of us that can understand and embrace the one golden heart consciousness, then we are tasked with us being around the fear consciousness more because we can assist, you know. But that takes skill, and this book really built up the skill and how to be with that. I appreciate that the most.
And that's the point. The point is that if we can live on our one golden heart consciousness, then we can come forward with our gifts and our skill sets that are so needed in today's world. Mm-hmm. And this is why we're here. We're not here to just kind of barely keep our head above water in the face of fear. We are not. We're here to shine, and we're here to bring forth our gifts and to bring forth our skill sets and to make a difference in this consciousness and to bring forward more and more and more the one golden heart consciousness.
Yeah. It's about golden love outshining.
Yeah.
And, you know, just so the audience understands, in the book that the book is our Lemurian history from Lemuria of origin until today. And so, as many civilizations have gone through times of great challenge and difficulty, we went through our share as well. And so, I don't want to paint the book as being something that's a pretty story. It's not a pretty story. It's got its hard parts. It's got parts that anybody who reads it is going to say, "Oh, this is painful. This is a painful part of the story," and that's what the painful part of the whole story. But it's not the whole story itself. And so I'm talking about it because I want to, for people who feel drawn to read the book, I want to really encourage them to stick with it and understand that everything that's described in the book is what we all went through, and in fact is exactly what enables us to stand strong in today's world. Everything that we learned through all of those experiences is exactly how come we can reactivate Golden Lemuria again in our modern time. And it's just so important to realize that, and realize that the metamorphosis that can take place in reading the book with presence, with commitment, with dedication and self-love. It is an act of self-love. And just reading it from the first page to the last page, and in between, it's not let me just pick up the book and just dabble here or there. It's not a dabble book.
It's not a dabble book, and it's
it's a workbook. It's a guide and a manual, and it's an actual energetic metamorphosis. And that's really the point that I want to make, is that if somebody does read it with this kind of presence that we're talking about, this organic golden metamorphosis happens, and the golden remembrance for each person starts to awaken, and then gradually, as the book is read, it gets more and more activated, and it grows and it expands, and by the end of the book, you're probably most likely a different person than you were before you started the book.
Oh, I definitely felt like a chrysalis experience.
In the best sense of the word. Absolutely.
It definitely felt like a chrysalis experience. I remember contacting you guys and saying, I keep setting aside a great deal of time to really, get through it. But there's only so much I can read. And my experience reading the Golden Remembrance was a lot like, it reminds me of the Never Ending Story, in that the more the boy read the book, the more he became part of the story. Each page I read led me more and more into the story until I truly felt as though I was in the book. It transformed my dreams, my memories, and I found that I wasn't able to read it in the way I've read any other book. I couldn't speed read it. I couldn't read just 10 minutes a day. I had to give myself a few hours to go on a journey and then take time between reading to process it. And Deborah, you told me after I read the book that it felt that way because I really was there.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Exactly.
That this is
I do remember that.
Yeah, that this is a remembrance of all of us. Can you share more about that?
It is just like that. I've heard this from other people who've completed the book. I'm thinking right now of one person who said, I feel like, she referred to the last third of the book. She said, I feel like you wrote that last third of the book just for me. Yeah.
And so it may be different for everyone, huh? Like, that's the part where you start to form into the butterfly.
We haven't heard, anybody who's read it, we haven't heard that they haven't been deeply touched.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. That's been the largest thing that we've heard. And moved. And some I have another friend who she got to the end and she said, okay, now I'm going to go back to the beginning and read it again. It's just, it's everybody's experience is what it is, and we don't know what that's going to be. But mainly it is the remembrance of one's golden self, but it also reopens that whole communion that we talked about. What is one golden family? It opens up that whole awareness of this hugely deep and miraculous and wondrous communion that we have with all of golden life in every way, on every level. And so our daily lives become so much more attuned to the golden love that's everywhere around us, and in the trees, in nature, in the stars, all of it, the animals. I mean, everything takes on so much more meaning, and in that way, we feel so much more supported. I know that I've heard this from a few people that they say suddenly they didn't feel alone anymore. They felt like, oh my gosh, I'm part of this huge, beautiful family, and it just allowed them to breathe a sigh of relief and feel comforted by that and encouraged and uplifted by that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I really feel so strongly about this. Obviously we do. It really is something, this is a reality whose time has come. And I know that many people feel discouraged by the state of things, understandably so. Many people find themselves caving in, contracting, kind of caving in inside, feeling weakened, and not knowing what the heck is going on, and what is this all about, and what do I do? How do I handle this? This is like too much. It's feeling of life being overload a lot of the time. And if you're a sensitive, the golden one, that overload, boy, that gets magnified pretty fast, and we understand all these experiences ourselves and have, learned more and more how to navigate this, as we talked about. But the reality is that this golden world, the imprint of the original Lemuria, the Lemuria of origin, that whole civilization which grew to be something that was thriving and flourishing, and harmony, of course, and co-creativity, that we call it the imprint of that, which is, the patterning of that, is here. It's in the energy fields, it's in the earth, it's here. And so it's time, the time for that to be remembered is now. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. This book would not have even come to our awareness. This material would not have been brought to us if the time wasn't now, and if things weren't ready to support this in every way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, it's really so essential for people to understand there is this other option.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be stuck in the fear-based loop. You can actually, believe it or not, you can walk out of that. You can get off that loop and return to your true design and awareness as a golden one, living in this fabulous, gorgeous, illuminated golden world. And it allows for a very different life experience on a day-to-day level, and helps to clarify, like you said, Sarah, it helps to clarify a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Helps to stimulate new ways of seeing things and understanding and solutions. And we can coexist. I think that's one of the beauties of this this beautiful earth is that she can support different frequencies of consciousness coexisting here, and it's very doable. So it's not like we're saying we've got to change the fear-based world. It's not like we're saying, particularly, it's not like we're passing a judgment on that. We're saying, okay, what is true for us? What is true for us is our golden design, our golden remembrance, our golden world, our golden reality, and everything that we can bring forth within this context and shine that out, be that, express those skill sets, have that enormous communion, and live in this frequency of grace. This frequency of loving grace that is something that is directly sourced our golden insides, and it is a very different way of living. And Sari, I feel that in you. I know that you've got that in spades. It's like it's just, I love it. I mean, sort of that part of me goes right to that part of you, and it's like, oh God, this is so beautiful.
Certainly, yes.
Allows for a more graceful a way of living and being, and life just becomes richer and it's just beauty. I'm a big beauty.
Yeah, I love that you're speaking to the importance of not being combative, that there is no polarity. That is not the way of love or grace.
Well, and that, if you're doing that, you're in the fear consciousness.
Exactly.
And the other point is about the fear consciousness imprint is that a lot of people are doing things to try to improve themselves, but they're still in the fear consciousness. So when you do it from that place of fear consciousness, you can only go so far. You're not able to fully move into yourself because you don't belong in the fear consciousness. So this book is a great way for folks to discover, I have a choice. I have an option.
Yeah.
And I have a way to deepen that really enables me to deepen and enables me to be an expression of love and kindness and grace that Deborah was talking about. And it's, so it's...
and the book, the last part of the book especially really addresses exactly this, of what that looks like, what that means, and how to stand strong as a golden outshining being. And how, of course, that's the easiest thing in the world, really, right? It takes a lot more energy to not be that.
It does, because that's the part of the book where I felt like my wings got put on when I was in the chrysalis, and it's like I would be actually working against my nature to not, spread those wings and fly at full capacity and be one with the air and the plants and everything. It's like, it's how I'm made. And once we know and I mean, in the physical sense, know, an experiential, that we are part of something so great, and that's always around us. We just need to be with it. That's one of the biggest takeaways for me too. It's not doing, it's being. Like Jack, you were.
It's not doing, it's being.
Right. And out of that comes your doing.
The last part of the book is called Golden Reactivation, and that's exactly what it is. It's about reactivating each one of them. So.
It's your wing ceremony, exactly.
That's right. That's right.
It is. It's a joyous remembrance and a joyous reactivation.
Yeah, it's something to celebrate so much.
Yeah.
This is so beautiful. I didn't prepare you guys for this question, but Deborah, I want to mention your art.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know on the cover, the stained glass, that's your art, yeah. And to your listeners, you'll be viewing the art through this interview when I put it together. But you have captured a lot of golden heart energy, ascended masters, beings. Can you share more with us about your art and how that fits
Sure.
in?
I'd love to. I am a visionary artist. Have been working at it in a professional capacity as well since I was 30. I'm almost 70, so it's been a while.
That's my bird clock, sorry.
It's my gift, or it's one of my gifts, and it's one of my great, great passions. And I feel like here again, as you know, I talked about birthing the book and so many other things that Jack and I have done together, that I am a medium, and that is probably one of my strongest skill sets right there. And so I'm able to bring through visually what is beyond the mind's capacity to yet consider until it's viewed on a piece of artwork in this case. All of my artwork, when I look back at it, is kind of timeless. It's all been a great predictor of what's to come.
Mm-hmm.
The gold has been in it since I started doing this kind of artwork. It kind of blows my mind a lot of the time. I'll look at what's suddenly shown up on the page and I'll say, how did I do that? And I'll realize, well, I didn't do that. It just came through me, and a miracle of miracles, there it is. But I tend to be, I am definitely very futuristic. I wouldn't, I think outside the box. I just, more futuristically, I'm very in the present, but I'm very aware of the future, so I can be very futuristically oriented, which in itself is a gift, because then I can look back at the present, and sometimes I get to see how things actually evolve. But, for instance, with the Ascended Masters, Master Saint Germain, Mother Mary, and Master Jesus, my pictures, my artwork of them is very, very different from the traditional.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when right before we started our retreat center back in the early 90s, after we'd been in retreat and the Ascended Masters had first come to us, and Jesus came. I had a little studio. We were in a cabin, and I had set up a tent as my art studio outside. It was, you get very creative when you've got very minimal space. And so I set up this tent, and it was just, I loved it, And I was out there one day on the mountain, and I felt compelled, which is what happened, to do a picture of the energy of Jesus as I was experiencing at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just about to start, and I felt Master Jesus come to me, and he said, do you want to see a picture or do a picture of what I look like now? And I thought, well, sure, I'll do that. And so out pops this being, this golden being, Sananda, who is, as I understand it, Jesus 2,000 years later, Sananda. And there he is, this golden being, and all that's in the artwork is his head and just the very tippy top of his shoulders. But I could see in my inner eye, I could see his whole body, and he was dressed up in this golden bodysuit and just glowing, and he has this big golden orb in his forehead, the golden world just, pulsating, and I thought, wow. Look, you.
Look at you.
And I was just, wow, I was kind of bowled over, And I said, well, okay, here we are. This is what's happening at the present day, So,
and that was way before.
And that was in the early 90s.
Yeah, that was before we were on our conscious Lemurian journey.
Right.
It was a foretelling, right? But I feel like it's also was showing, how tapped in you are to the one golden heart consciousness.
Oh, totally.
And that's what that creativity looks like.
He is, certainly the quintessential golden world teacher, master, or one of them. But, so all of my artwork is, again, purpose-driven. I have, especially since the book was done, I have this enormous passion to do artwork of the gold as much as I can. And, certainly, just the same way as we really, really would love to have people buy our book so that they wake up, so that they remember who they are, they get reactivated, they get reimpassioned. The goal of writing the book was because we feel so purposeful about regathering our golden family. That is the purpose of the book, is to regather our golden family. And so our heart's desire is to see the book get out worldwide, and everybody's linking up again, and we're having this, golden civilization flourishing again.
We're reawakening the one golden heart consciousness.
Right, and the book is what we call kind of the clarion call, meaning it's time. Meaning the clarion call would come when it was time, and the time came. And the book is the product of that clarion call. And so the same is true for my artwork, is that in having this book go out worldwide, I would love as many people as want to buy my artwork, prints, whatever, however I can make that's affordable for everybody and easy, because it will give them images that can enhance their golden remembrance. We'll just, there's energy in this artwork. Its purpose is to heal and uplift and aid and inspire and give a visual on so much of on everything we're talking about here today in terms of golden love.
I'll be sure and put some information at the end of this interview. I definitely, after reading the book, I felt very raised up, very, very biggered, I call it, or grown, expanded as far as, the transformation coach work that I do. But I also felt or experienced a huge surge in creativity. And so that's an amazing thing to share with all of us. Thank you, and encourage, and that we can all share with each other. So the book is complete and published, right? You can get a copy on Amazon. Where are you in the experience of the Golden Remembrance at this time? Like, how does it manifest in your life now, and what do you see on the horizon?
I feel, I'll speak for myself, and then Jack can say his piece. Since the completion of the book, which established the platform, really, the physicalization of this movement, which, it's very, it's big to put energy, as people know who create like this, and as you know, physicalizing energy is a very large task. And once done, it's then in the imprint. It's just the act of doing that, of having brought this into solid physical form. I see it as sort of an insert in consciousness of this golden light and love and grace. And so since we did that, that was the hard work of having that be made manifest and following through on the support of that and everything that entailed. But now that that's done, what I'm very aware of is that the golden world is alive and well and here. And I knew that before, certainly. I knew that well, but to actually feel it physically in the kind of tangible way that I am and the way I'm seeing it in the way that I am is, I would have to say, it's more than I could have even dreamed of. So,
Aww.
Yeah,
Yay.
I mean, to say this is something whose time has come is like a huge understatement.
Right.
It's already here, and I'm hoping just by talking about it that you really get what I'm saying. It is here. We are in it. We are standing in it. We are being it. There's nowhere we have to go to get it. We're not waiting for it to arrive. There's nothing that we need to do except reclaim it.
Mm-hmm.
Claim it.
Yeah.
And
just be with it.
And I am so aware of this. I feel so honored and privileged to be able to see, feel, hear, and know this golden world reality, because just being able to talk about it this way, brings tears to my eyes. It's very moving.
It is moving. Yeah, very.
Like, oh my gosh, it's real, it's here, it's now. Oh, come on, everybody, please, let's all get together. And that's how I feel about it. And so every day, the tangibleness of it, I'd have to say, is becoming more and more texturized every day. The different aspects of the golden world are becoming more highlighted for me. I'll go through phases where, for instance, I'm really communicative and aware of the communication coming my way of the golden animal kingdom, for instance, energetically, and it stirs me. And then I'll suddenly be aware of, oh my gosh, the golden trees are all talking to me, and then that stirs me, and it just it goes from one package to the next, and then it all moves me, and I know it's moving me when it brings tears to my eyes, and it makes me want to cry. It's like, oh God, I just remember something so deeply in myself that's just waking up.
Yeah.
Where is that going to lead me? I'm 69 years old. How many more years am I going to live? Wow, what is this going to be like as I grow older and older and older? And how long will I be here? It's like, and how much, it's so juicy and illuminating and positive and uplifting that, it's making for a remarkable life. And I'm very aware of all the challenges in life and in the world, and I have more and more strength to meet them, and more resources in myself to claim and stand in and utilize, to help me through, and help me, not just help me through, but help me golden outshine. Like, what do I want that to look? What do I want my life to look like? I am definitely here by choice. I totally know that. I don't at all feel that I'm here because I have to be. I want to be. I want to be here. And so I ask myself, how do I want to be here? What do I want to bring? What do I want that to look like? What am I capable of? And talk about feeling fully utilized. It's a wonderful feeling to say I feel fully utilized, when all my insides are working in a flourishing kind of way, and I'm able to be true to my true self, and I know I don't fit in to the world at large. I know that. That's fine. I'm not trying to anymore. If I ever really did, I think that was always kind of a hopeless thing. But
I think
the joke was on me, really. There, I'm much better off saying, "Wow, I'm really different." Yeah, how different am I? Well, big difference. So I'm going to be that.
Well, when we're part of everything around us, and the one golden heart consciousness, even if we're not conscious of it, we will appear very different because we don't see ourselves as separate, and so we don't behave as though we're separate. And I feel like that right there is the key. I love how you said, making for a remarkable life, and I call it living deliberately, or like with intention of, if we were all in our bodies in that way, consciously connected to this one golden heart consciousness, there just would be no fear or violence.
That's right.
Exactly. That's right.
That's the world I'm committed to.
In the golden world.
Right. There is not in the golden world.
No.
Mm-hmm. So that appears very strange to people that haven't come to that understanding yet.
Yeah. And that brings up just one more point, and then I'll stop talking. The idea, it's important to understand, I feel, that it's a different pattern. It's a different patterning. The fear-based patterning is one kind of patterning that people have been conditioned into, programmed into, across generation after generation after generation. The golden consciousness, one golden heart consciousness patterning is not even remotely the same as that. It's different. So, when I said I feel like I'm different, of course, what I mean is that all of us are different. All of us golden ones are different from the fear-based patterning. And as we group together in our golden patterning, then we realize, well, we're not different. We're unique. And we are uniquely ourselves, but we fit in the golden patterning because we are golden design. Mm-hmm. And if people can understand that that's a completely different patterning than the fear-based patterning, then that will help them to adjust to that. It's as much of a mind thing as it is allowing the energetics to move in an organic way as they read through the journey of the book and allowing everything to happen organically. But also, the mind. Our minds are strong. They're used to being a certain way. And so, if I say, but there's another way, there is a completely other way, a completely other patterning, that can take a little while to actually settle in and integrate. And then as that settles in and integrates, suddenly the internal golden patterning comes alive. And then it gradually becomes a non-issue. But it's just important to understand that as with anything that's showing up for the first time in a very long time, the fact that it's so different does not mean it's not for real. Mm-hmm. It's different. And so we accommodate that difference, and we accommodate that sinking in and that deepening, just like all the things that you've talked about today. And gradually you become reintegrated and comfortable and re-embracing and reclaiming of your golden self, your golden illumination, your golden grace. And like you said, then suddenly there's so much more of you to flourish and stretch out and be big.
Yeah, unique and different doesn't mean separate.
Exactly.
The fear consciousness says, oh, that's separate. But actually you're separate when you're in fear. You're not interconnected and part of a greater whole.
You're completely separate. When you're separate from yourself, when you're in fear, and you're separate from others.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And of course that makes things even more fearful. So fear creates more fear. So that's the loop of the fear consciousness, and that's why you see folks with having such difficulty. So,
Yeah.
But so, in terms of my experience of the Golden Remembrance, well, for me, it's fairly simple. I mean, the Golden Remembrance is that's who I am. I am Lemurian. I am golden. And I live my life every day from my golden heart. And so for me, it's about love and kindness and connection, and not just with people, but with all of life. And that's basically how it manifests for me now. I mean, that's me personally. For me, in terms of what my dream is, as Deborah mentioned, we didn't write this book for it to sit on our shelf, and say, "Oh, we wrote this book. Isn't this great?" We wrote this book to bring our golden family together. I want to see this book go around the world, and I mean go around the world, and because there's golden ones everywhere, there's golden ones throughout the planet, and I feel like if it does, and this is the dream we're holding, the vision we're holding, then it will make a huge difference in the consciousness on this planet. And that's why we did it. And so my life is about that, about seeing that come to fruition. And that's basically what my life's about. I mean, besides being with my loved one here and my family and my friends, communing in those ways, of course. But yeah, so we're doing our best to get it out there, but it's important that those who read the book and they resonate with being a golden one, that they bring it forward to others who are golden ones, who need this reawakening as well, because we're all kind of conditioned as golden ones, living in the fear consciousness to kind of hold things close to us, and living in fear consciousness. And so this book is about breaking that. It's about not holding things close, and
breaking that pattern,
and expressing forth our gifts and our skill sets. And so, I want to encourage folks who really resonate with the book to share it with others, because it's such an important reawakening, and it's the only way it's going to happen. Is that we all do our best to bring our golden family together.
I love that you're speaking to that, because I won't give it away, but especially more in the beginning, part of the remembering from while I was reading this book was no wonder there's fear about that. It hasn't always been safe, no wonder
there's fear about it. Yeah, and there has been persecution around people coming out. So there's fear around it. And the other thing I would say about people when they read the book, the new readers, is that some of you might not initially feel connected to the goal. You just can't get it in your head. It's just too. So what I say is, allow your imagination to go, and go with your imagination, and just follow along with the book. And after a while, you'll get it. And we had one person say to us, there's just so much, everything's golden, the golden this, golden that, gold that, gold. I said, yeah, well, there's a point to that. She said, yeah, I finally got it. I was like, oh, okay, I am golden.
He's got to build the capacity for all that gold, right?
Well, but it takes a while to get through all the filters that we have and all the constructs that we've been given and all that are fear consciousness based. So I encourage the new readers to be committed to the book, and to be and to let your imagination go. If you say, well, I don't really relate to this book, fine, let your imagination go with it, and just allow and continue to allow and things will shift for you.
Mm-hmm. So. And also, there's so much teaching in that book just about how to navigate in today's world. So it offers that anyway as a very, very valuable thing. And another reason just to read the book.
Yeah, and trust the process, right? That's what it is. A journey. Go on it.
But it's not. Initially it's not a flow book. I've heard some people say, "Oh yeah, well I love that book. I just pick it up and read a page or two and open up." Now, when you've read the book, Sarah, you've read the book completely, and so now you can use it as a flow book. You can use it as let me open up and see what page is wanting to show itself.
Exactly. Yeah, it's interactive, but you've got to go through the journey first. Yeah.
It's not that kind of book.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got to understand. It's a journey for the reader. It is literally a journey, and it is a reawakening. But to have the reawakening, you've got to take the journey.
Yeah.
And you've got to do it with a presence about it. And yeah, it's a big ask in certain ways because of the size of the book and the amount of reading. But if you give it to yourself and you give yourself the time to do it, it'll be very, very worthwhile.
Yeah.
So I want to just address that fact. Jack calls it a big ask of self.
Mm-hmm.
Is what he means, and so yeah, it's 600
pages.
600 pages.
It's a larger book, so it's probably more than that, actually.
Yeah, and it's a big fat book, and it holds a lot of beautiful golden energy, even just having it around.
We had one reader who she was in a crisis with her partner, major health issues, and she said, "I just carried it around. I couldn't read it because I was just too involved in what was going on with it. But I bring it into the hospital." And she said, "And the book it just gave me such support, just energetic."
I love that. I believe in reading through osmosis.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is. It's a fat book, many pages, and we understand that. But it is also available on Kindle, so that's obviously.
But it's still the same reading. It's still the same reading. Kindle will tell me it's a 750-page book.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, it's a great book, like if people were doing book clubs or something where people could, were then sort of committed inside of the group to doing this and could support each other. Or not. I'm just, offering up different kind of avenues where this could really, really be doable for people. But so you go into it knowing it's a big book. That's all.
You're committed to it. It's like, people all the time make commitments to do a lot of things that are big.
I feel like that's...
They decide they want to go on a big trip. They want to go on a big travel trip. They're committed to it, and it involves all that it involves.
I feel like that's part of the gift that it is, though, too, is part of why it may be such a big ask is just, with social media or how fast-paced the world is, things are so much more immediate. And to actually do the hard and go through the process and take the time and read the book, that's part of the gift that it gives you, is that expansion of self. And the ability to be with something longer and more in depth and cellularly life-changing,
That's such a great way to put it.
Yeah. It's a healthier meal, it's a...
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a choice. And throughout the book, the reader is continually presented with choice points.
Yeah.
Because we need to realize that we have free will, and we can choose. We get to choose all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a big choice for the reader, and the reader is presented with choice points throughout the book.
Beautiful. Well, I feel like we've given the readers a really good introduction and idea and backstory, and a lot of encouragement. Do you have any words for anyone who hasn't read the book yet? Well, I feel like we've covered that. more what I'm asking is any message you have for our beloved brothers and sisters right now in this day and time, any parting words of wisdom and love from our golden masters that you could share?
Well,
Yes.
I first want to say, don't give up hope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot for you in present day, and there's a lot for each one of us in the future. Don't just look at the surface of what you see and what you're presented with on the news and on the internet and social media and all that stuff. I know Deborah has a lot more to say about that.
Yeah, I want to say, if you can avoid what I call going south, avoid sinking with what feels like is sometimes a sinking ship. Instead of that, I see it that, there's a few options of how we navigate our life. One is to go down with the ship. A second one is just to barely survive, white knuckling all the way, and just, I'm going to get through kind of thing, like my whole life, I'm just going to get through. Or a third option is to get off that boat and get on your new one, start living what's truly deeply inside of you. And of course all of these options kind of go in and out of each other sometimes, depending on what life circumstances are showing. But golden ones, and I am addressing golden ones in particular because that is our purpose and our niche of the audience of humankind on this planet. But golden ones, you are really deep. You're deep, enormously, hugely caring individuals, and you have so much kindness and generosity and strength inside of you. And I feel like the message, if there's any message we can bring, it's that this is a way for you to remember all of that and more, and reignite it and reactivate it, and feel like instead of sinking or barely swimming, you are actually walking on the water, and you are able to see there is a point, a beautiful point and path and purpose to my life, and I want to contribute this more and more and more.
And that you're incredibly resourceful.
Yeah.
You're strong. Deborah mentioned their strength. You're strong, and you are incredibly resourceful.
Yeah.
And use that.
Yeah. And lastly, I want to say thank you to all the golden ones that are here on this planet now. And there are a lot of golden ones here now. There are a lot of people on this planet, and a lot of those people are golden ones who've come in at this time for, in my opinion, for exactly this reason, which is to reactivate our golden world and be this now. And so I just want to say thank you for all being here at the same time as we are. And together, our golden family can be restored, we can rejoin, and we can re-love. And what a beautiful thing.
Love it. Thank you both so much for sharing this space and time, and for bringing this amazing remembrance forward. I appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you, Sarah. We so appreciate you. You're such a treasure.
You are.
And anybody who's encountering you, I know you're doing your work. You're doing great work, and so we honor you and treasure you and value you so much. And thank you for your time and for doing this interview with us.
Yes.
You bet. Yeah, well, we share the same legacy, so...
We do.
That's it.
We do.
That's it. We
Thank
do.
you so much.
We do. So
I've
thank you.
just had the greatest vibration through my body throughout this whole interview, and so I'm going to leave some information now of ways that people can reach you, your artwork, the book, and everything, and just wish you the most beautiful golden day ever.
You too, Sarah. We love you so.
We love you. Big hug.
Big hug.
Big hugs.